I love this story, the Easter breakfast on the beach story. I've preached on it several times before, but I've never preached on it during a pandemic before. And there's a certain part of the story that never quite made sense to me before, and I'll confess, I actually made fun of it. I thought it was kind of funny and cute that Simon Peter, in the midst of the biggest, most momentous time of anyone's life, when Christ has died and risen and been seen among them, that Peter doesn't know what to do other than to say, hey, let's go fishing. I thought it was sweet that he just decided to do what he was good at. He was a fisherman. Before he followed Jesus as a disciple, it was poetic for him to go back to something familiar and old when the world was being made totally new around him. But in my heart of hearts, I thought that if I had been there that day, I would not have been fishing. I would have been somewhere important, feeling momentous. I've been very focused and alert and aware. I probably would have been praying on a mountaintop or preaching in Jerusalem, ready to continue the work of the risen Lord, Something on the same exalted level with the enormity of the resurrection and the world changing around you. I would not have just packed up and gone fishing like Peter. But, you see, I had never lived through a pandemic then. I'd never felt what it's like to have the world turned upside down. I had encountered grief, yes, but never on such a global scale where it makes all your past memories of family gatherings feel bittersweet and uproots all your hopes for the future. I didn't know what it was like to wake up every morning feeling powerless over what had happened. For us, that's the pandemic and the changed world it's bringing. But for the disciples, I feel like they had that same enormity of not knowing what the world was in the wake of this terrifying state-sponsored arrest and execution of their teacher and Lord, and then the astounding mystery of the empty tomb. For the disciples then, and for us now, the world was turned upside down. And it's true that there's new opportunities opening, that we are busy building a new world in the shell of the old, but even though there is hope for tomorrow, it's hard to see what it will really be. Everything has changed, and we don't know what to do. So this week, when I read through the story of Jesus meeting the disciples for breakfast on the beach, the part where Peter decided to go fishing actually made all the sense in the world. The world was upside down, but Peter knew how to fish, so he was going to go fishing. Now, with all the wisdom of my 6 weeks quarantine experience, I get it. I feel what it's like to look at the day before you and not know what it's going to unfold, and so just choose something you're good at. I'm no fisherman, of course, but I've found myself feeling like Peter felt, and for me, I'd say, well, I don't know what to do, but I can make a loaf of bread. Perhaps for you, it's, I don't know what to do, but I can make a phone call, or make a mask, feed your family, or go to work. Everything has changed, and we don't know what to do, but we can show up in these small ways. I'll confess that used to seem trivial to me, but now I see it for how precious it really is. Just showing up for what we can do when the world is upside down. Peter was good at fishing, and each of us has something we can do, something we're good at. Some of you have shared on our MPC Facebook page some of these things that you're good at. Some of you have been making inspirational signs to post on your lawn. Some have been making food, whether that's 50 meals to go at the soup kitchen, or a meal for a family, or making butter from scratch with your kids. Some have been working out, or working on their art. Some are reading storybooks to each other. Several of the children got on a Zoom call last week and just read our favorite books to one another. Everybody is trying to do what we know how to do. When we hear this story today, and when we hear Peter say, "I'm going fishing," let's hear it for what it is. Everything has changed, and he doesn't know what to do, but he knows that he can fish. So he's going to try doing what he's good at. Then, of course, he comes up empty-handed. They all fish through the night hours and into the dawn, those dark hours that are best for fishing on the Sea of Galilee, and they have caught nothing. Perhaps we too know what that feels like. Working and working, getting nowhere, not seeing a difference. Perhaps we too now have a taste of what that feels like. Still, it is better than doing nothing, and we'd rather be on our own well-known boat than out in some unfamiliar place, so we keep trying. Maybe this time we'll catch something. Then when he calls to them over the water, Jesus sounds like a backseat driver kind of fisherman. Some stranger yelling out, "Hey guys, got any fish?" No fish. His idea sounds crazy. What if you tried on the other side of the boat? But they have nothing to lose and all the time in the world, so they give it a go. And then their nets are so full of fish that they know who the stranger on the shore is. It's his signature style, you know. Suddenly having way more food than you need. It's classic Jesus. So as it turns out, fishing was exactly where the disciples needed to be that day. They didn't need to be on a mountaintop praying. They didn't need to be in the temple. They didn't have it all figured out or have an action plan to take them through the next few weeks in a changing world into the opening days of a totally new religion. Good news for those of us who do not currently have this new world completely figured out. That's why we celebrate the whole 7-week season of Easter. Because Jesus kept coming back to the disciples over and over, whether they were locked in their houses in fear or out trying to do the one thing they knew how to do and still not catching any fish. God comes to us where we are and brings an unexpected catch of abundance. So friends, do what you can do. Bake a loaf, read a story, make a phone call, give a gift, sing a song. Just go out and fish as you're able. Trust that God will value and appreciate whatever it is that you have to give. Jesus meets us where we are, so do what you can do. And don't give up. Even if your nets are empty right now. It might be a matter of time, or it might be something as simple as throwing the nets in on the other side. Don't give up. The disciples certainly did not expect to catch 153 fish that night. And by the way, a lot of scholarly theological ink has been spilled to figure out why 153 fish, and scholars agree its deeper meaning is a lot of fish. The disciples didn't expect it or do anything to deserve it. So stay open to the possibility that God might bless us abundantly, beyond what we even can imagine. And may God also bring us that new life today. Amen.